Good morning, grade 3. I welcome you to today's social studies lesson. This week, we're going to look at a very important skill. It's a critical thinking skill where you're going to learn to make thoughtful decisions. This is chapter 7, Citizenship, and we're going to look at page 260 and 261 in your textbook. So let's get started. So grade 3, the learning objectives of today's lesson is to firstly identify steps that you need to make when you're making thoughtful decisions, and then you're going to discuss the choices and consequences of that decision. Begin. Now, this is a page from your book, page 260, and we're going to have a closer look at what is it meant by making a decision or a choice. Okay, so a choice is also called a decision, and when you're making a decision you need to follow certain steps, and that's where you need to think critically. So step 1 is that you've got a list of choices, right? You can look at the picture down below. The illustration shows that there's a kid, and he's looking at a poster of volunteers needed at animal shelter, and there's a phone number. And then he's thinking to himself, what if I volunteer? And on the second thought bubble, you can see that he's playing soccer with his friends, right? So first of all, he's listing the choices he's got. Step 2, you gather all the information you need. And for that, you'll have to basically use a table or a graphic organizer. I'll show you in a moment how that's done. Step 3, you're going to look into the consequences of each choice. So what's going to happen if I volunteer at the shelter versus what's going to happen if I go play soccer with my friends. And step 4, once you've made the choice, you choose the best consequences, right? And then you finalize your choice. That's step 5, and act on it. So let's begin. Let's practice based on Miguel's choices. Okay, so let's read this paragraph. Well, Miguel makes a chart to help him decide what to do with his free time. So how do you come about choosing and making a decision if you've got multiple options? The first thing Miguel's done is that he has made a chart so that he can decide what he needs to do with his free time. He wants to volunteer at an animal shelter, but he also wants to play with his friends. He uses the steps in this lesson to make a thoughtful decision. So there are 4 things he might want to ask himself. Okay, and you can read these with me. So what are Miguel's choices? You can see how he's organized the information down in this table. You can see he's got the choice of volunteering at an animal shelter. And then the second choice he's got is that he can play with his friends. Then he's going to measure down the consequences, collect information. What time is the animal shelter open? What time can I go play with my friends? And then he'll look into the consequences of the choices. So this is how you can organize your thoughts using a chart if you have multiple options to choose from to land on one decision. Great, so let's practice now. Grade 3, what I want you to do is that I want you to open your SST practice book to page 70 and 71. Okay, you can see that there is a letter that Miguel wrote to Helpful Hank. Now, Helpful Hank is an imaginary character, of course. Then follow Hank's suggestion and complete the items that follow. So there's a letter from Miguel to Helpful Hank, and then Helpful Hank replied Miguel back. So we're going to look into both of these friendly letters. Okay, let's have a closer look. Let's read the letter that Miguel wrote to Helpful Hank, and also we're going to look into the reply that he received. So, dear Helpful Hank, my sister and I have a lot of toys that we don't play with anymore. Our parents want us to fix them up and give them away to children who do not have many toys. I'm not sure I want to give my toys away. What should I do? Sincerely, Miguel. And the reply he got was, Dear Miguel, you have a decision to make. Try following these steps in order to make a thoughtful decision. Good luck, sincerely, Helpful Hank. And obviously, Helpful Hank hasn't helped much, so we're going to help Miguel. First, make a list of the different choices Miguel has. The answer is very simple and clear. He can either give his toys away or he can keep them. So you can write that down. Number 2, gather the information that will help Miguel make a thoughtful decision. So what do you think Miguel needs to know if he gives his toys away? And I think that he should know more about the place that would take his toys and the children who would get them, right? So let's go ahead to the next page. Let's look at the questions on page number 71. So the third thing is, think about the consequences of each choice and write them down. So first of all, he's got two choices. First choice, give away the toys. And the second choice is keep them. So let's think about the consequences. What can happen? What will happen if he gives his precious toys away? And the second choice is what would happen if he chooses to keep them. And we're going to write those consequences down. You can use your own words, but this is what I think you could write. If Miguel gives his toys away, comma, he might wish he kept a few of them, obviously, because he's going to miss his toys. Even so, Miguel would have most likely feel good knowing he held other children. So that's the consequence of his choice. Next is decide which choice will have the best consequence. And what I think is that if Miguel gives away his toys, that would be the best consequence for him and for the children who will receive his toys. And the fifth point here is make a choice and tell how Miguel should act on it. List your choice here. And what I've written here is that Miguel should start cleaning his closet right away. Because remember, when you make a choice, you start acting on that decision. So the thing that he'll need to do is he'll have to clean his closet, and he will also have to fix and mend those toys. Because remember, when he wrote the letter, he said that the parents want him to fix his toys and give them away. So he needs to start cleaning his closet right away. So grade 3, it's time to wrap it up. Please write down these answers in your practice book on page 70 and 71. If you have any queries, please do not forget to ask. And remember, you can write these answers down in your own words. You don't have to copy paste from this presentation. Best of luck, grade 3.